Okay, so in recent years, a lot of speculation has emerged about whether the sport of hunting is really ethical or responsible. And the necessity has also been questioned quite a bit. Thousands of years ago, we relied on hunting to survive, but nowadays, I mean, there's a grocery store every other block. And so that's led a lot of people to question, like, why should we still continue to hunt if we don't need it? You know? And hunting can actually be pretty harmful to our environment. It's not very common, but it does happen when a hunter takes a bad shot and may wound the animal without putting it down. And that definitely leads to the animal suffering quite a bit more than it needs to. Another issue would be overhunting. A good example of that would be the bears in California. In the 1800s, there was like 10,000 bears living in California, but as settlers were moving there, bears began to create a lot of problems for them, so they decided to just shoot any bear in sight. And nowadays, although there's a bear on the state flag, there's like no bears left in California. Hunting is also among some of the most dangerous and difficult and expensive hobbies in the United States. It takes a large amount of physical strength to hike out there 10, 20 miles and then wait for hours on end, and if you're lucky, harvest an animal and then hike out that same amount with like 200 pounds on your back. It's also very dangerous. There are almost 3 hunting accidents per day in the United States and Canada. But there are also some large benefits to hunting, and some of those would be it controls animal populations. I'm sure if you've taken biology, you've probably seen or heard of the video where they decided to take the wolves out of Yellowstone, and that actually caused the deer population to skyrocket, which then caused overgrazing in that area, and that eroded parts of the river, which changed the course of the river. And hunting is a very effective way of keeping those populations to where they need to be. Also, when you're hunting, you're providing your own meat, and you don't have to directly support these factory farms, which keep these animals in very harsh and inhumane conditions. It also encourages self-reliance and connects us to our natural processes as humans. And not a lot of people know, but it actually raises a lot of the money for conservation. In 1937, the Pittman-Robertson Act was enacted, and it's a 11% tax on long guns and hunting gear, and 10% on handguns, and that all goes to conservation. And in less than a century, it's raised billions of dollars for conservation. And there are some compromises that I was able to come up with. We could ban hunting on certain days so that non-hunters can enjoy these public lands as well as hunters, and they can feel safe doing so, not have to worry about hunting accident. We could also ban ineffective ways of hunting, so like bow hunting. It's pretty common that the animal will be hit and then not go down, and that causes a lot of unnecessary suffering. And then we could also more closely monitor these populations, so that we know how many we should be hunting every year. So if a population is going up, then we hunt more, and if it's going down, then we hunt less, just to keep these populations kind of in check and do pretty much everything we can to conserve our environment and the animals that live in it. And yeah, that's it.